when I first started, like I had this cap of like this physical, mental capacity that I could accomplish in life. And then I put myself out there and I learned, well, I can do these things. Like, what else am I capable of? I realized that I am capable of almost anything I want to.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily going to be an expert or the best at it, but I can do it. So it's like, how far can I push it?
What is going on, guys? We have a very exciting video for you today. I am on my way to go train with Nick Bear, who I'm sure almost everyone watching this video is familiar with. Been following Nick online for a long time, but if you are unfamiliar, he was an Army Ranger. He's now a YouTuber, owns a supplement company called Bear Performance Nutrition, and his warehouse is up here in Round Rock, which is about 20 minutes north from where I stay. So he's actually currently training for an Ironman. He's been nice enough to take some time away and get a lifting session in with me today. And as you guys will see, he is an absolute beast.
No limits, no ceiling, no crown, no pressure gonna hold me down. No stopping till I break every rule. No limits to what I can do. Nowhere is too far away. No border gonna stand in my way. No wall that I can't break through. No limits to what I can do.
All right, guys, we are here with Nick Bear, who most of you guys already know. Nick was previously an Army Ranger. Now he is owner of a supplement company, Bear Performance Nutrition, large following on YouTube, and also has his hands in a little bit of everything right now. Currently training for an Ironman.
That's right.
So do a little bit of everything. Stay busy.
I like to switch things up a little bit.
Yeah.
Going from like Army to social media to business owner has been like massive differences.
Sure.
But at the same time, like they all kind of coincide.
Yeah. It's there's no doubt that being in the military has shaped you in a lot of different ways. How much of your success do you attribute to being in the military, and what do you think that you would struggle with today have you not had that experience?
Yeah, so I always say, like, everyone always told me, they were like, don't go infantry, because if you go infantry, you have no applicable skills learned in the military to outside. I was like, oh crap, like I'm going infantry.
Right.
And I learned quickly after, like, well, no, being in the Army, like no matter what you're doing, especially infantry, when you're managing people, you're learning like how to manage people, money, time, resources, extremely applicable to like building a business, building a brand, being a leader,
right.
Whether that's military driven or Salesforce driven.
Sure.
Biggest difference though, which was cool in the military, is like you're learning to be a leader where there's no monetary incentives involved. So like your team knows they could work 4 hours that week or they could work 100 hours that week.
Right.
They're not getting paid anymore. Like they know when they're getting pay increases based off of rank and time. Right. So like that was a massive lesson learned, was learning how to be a leader and manage people when it's not like, hey, if you do this, I will pay you X amount more.
Right.
Well, it was like, how do you influence and lead people to follow you based off of trust?
Yeah.
So that was massive. So I attribute a lot of things that I've accomplished in my time in the military, because like before I was in the military, I was kind of like lost with what I was doing. I didn't have a lot of direction or a lot of confidence for that matter. And then going into the Army, and I was Ranger qualified. I passed Ranger school, so I was qualified. All the things I did there was like a massive stepping stone to building my confidence and learning, wow, I'm capable of a lot more than I thought I was. Right, because like when I was in high school, I was just an average dude.
Yeah, it seems like for you especially, because it seems seamless. So like right after you got out of the military, actually when you were still in the military, your business was really exploding. So by the time you got out, I would say your business was probably peaked to a level you had never even seen it before. So then you had kind of even more time probably than you ever experienced to kind of take that business and just run with it.
That's the interesting part too, because like when people transition out of the military, there's this problem with people transitioning out and not knowing how to get to where they want to be.
Yeah.
But I just so happened to time it up. Like, I didn't perfectly plan this. Like, I can't just say like my business is going to make X amount of money here, like at this time in a perfect world. But it just happened to work that way in our favor. So like I was able to transition out, and probably 6 months before I was transitioning out, that's when BPN really started to explode from social media growth and branding. And I mean, that was 2017. At that point, I had the brand for 5 years. So a lot of people think like, oh, I had one YouTube video and it blew up from that.
Right.
Well, no, there's 5 years in the making, like compounding over time.
Usually overnight success is really just, you know, it's a lot of years that build up to that one event. It seems to be quicker than it really is.
Yeah, it's just like the compounding events and work you put in that lead to, you don't necessarily catch a break.
Sure.
But sometimes like something happens where the stars align and things work out in your favor. So I was able to transition out of the military directly into running my business full time. Which the best way to describe it is like, and me and my brother talk about it all the time, it's like waking up on Christmas, where I transitioned out of the military and I was like, holy crap, I have all this time now. Because previously, like I had before going to work, which was maybe 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. And then after work, which was say 6 or 7 p.m. till midnight, 1 a.m. And now I have this entire day to build this. And I was just like, what do I do with all my time?
And what's awesome and what's so inspiring is that what's so cool is that you documented all of this. So you were actually vlogging this when you were still in Korea, and you were showing how to really maximize your day. Like you were waking up at ungodly hours to be on the phone with suppliers and all of these different things that you were doing. So I think that provides a lot of inspiration for people, not only in the military, but also people that are working, you know, more traditional jobs, trying to build businesses and trying to do other things. You were really making the most out of it. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I think our story, my story and the brand story is really strong because of that. Because when I got to Korea, my goal was to make $10,000 a month in revenue. Like that was my goal. At the time, we were making like $3,000 a month in revenue. We were doing like $20,000 a year. And the year before, right before I left to go to Korea, my accountant told me, hey, you might want to close your business because the past 3 years, you're in the red. And you're about to transition out and you need to have a full-time job that's sustainable. So I went on this 9-month rotation with the intent and mindset of, okay, I'm not going to watch any movies, watch any TV shows, like go out with friends. I'm not going to do any leisure activities. Like every waking minute that wasn't spent doing my Army job was going to be on building my business. So I'd wake up and I'd call manufacturers back in the States because of the 14-hour time difference. And then I would go to PT from, it was like 6:30 to 7:30, and then I'd go to the gym and film my workouts from 7:30 to 9 because it was the only time I could film YouTube videos because it was a military post. And then I'd go to work from like 9 till, if we weren't in the field, 9 to 5 or 9 to 6. And then as soon as I get back, keep filming YouTube videos, listen to podcasts, read books, like learn how to build a business because I had no experience. It was like I call it, I was a Swiss Army pocket knife of like BPN because I had to learn everything.
And even then, so you started up, or you had Bare Performance Nutrition, that it kind of exploded. A few years later, now you have Embrace the Suck training programs, which is a mentality, a mantra that you brought from the military, which is pretty awesome to see. So you've kind of done a little bit of everything. You've done bodybuilding shows, you've ran marathons, currently training for a triathlon. I think you've built your reputation around pushing yourself to the absolute limits.
Right.
There's no doubt about that. Some say you're a little bit crazy for doing so.
I think my fiance would agree. Yeah.
I'm sure she hates every second of it. So what is it? Like what pushes you to do these things that no one expects you to do and no one is really doing, but you're just kind of putting yourself on another level?
Honestly, it goes back to like 2012 when I started my business. So like I said, when I was in high school, I was an average dude. Like I didn't stand out in terms of like sports. I didn't stand out in terms of like academics. I was just like average dude. So my confidence was never like I can achieve like these great things. I'm from a small town in Pennsylvania. So between my junior and senior year of college, I had to go to this military assessment camp. And when you're there, you're assessed with all the other cadets in the nation, and that determines what job you get in the military. So I go into this like kind of timid and scared because I'm up against 6,000 other cadets. And when I got there, I kind of thrived. Like my evaluations were great. I was like good at managing people and leading people, and I was just like, I thrived in that environment. So I came back from that with this newfound confidence. And literally, like, as soon as I got back, I started BPN. So I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but I wanna start this company. I was going to school for nutrition at the time. And then after that, like, I commissioned into the Army, infantry officer. And then again, like, nervous, timid. I'm going to Fort Benning, Georgia to go through training and Ranger School. When I passed that and I got through that, and there's all these things like, well, when I first started, like, I had this cap of like this physical, mental capacity that I could accomplish in life.
Yeah.
So I always like held back a little bit because I didn't know what I was capable of. And then I put myself out there and I learned, well, I can do these things. Like, what else am I capable of? So then, like, I got into really, fitness with bodybuilding and powerlifting. And being like a leader in the military, I always had to push myself to set the standard for the guys. Like, if I wasn't in the best shape possible, why would they be in the best shape possible? Like, if I wasn't running 6-minute miles, why should they try to run 6-minute miles? So, like, the impact and reasoning for me always being in the best shape then was to be the best leader possible, to set the standard for them. So seeing like where I could push my body then was like, oh crap, like I can do a lot, like physically and mentally. And building my brand and being limited with time, it's like I can do this now. So then now it's always, well, what's next? Like, what's the next thing? So like, I wanted to run a marathon. And a lot of these things, I don't get paralyzed by like analysis, which a lot of people do.
Right.
I want to do something. I sign up for a marathon and then I figure out how to get there.
You're decisive, you just do it.
Yep, I wanted to start a business. And I established a business, now I figure out how to get there.
Right.
My most recent thing, I decided I want to do an Ironman. Then I figured out how to get there. I decided I was going to do an Ironman before I even knew what an Ironman was. So it's one of those things, like, I realized that I am capable of almost anything I want to.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily going to be an expert or the best at it.
Sure.
But I can do it.
Yeah.
So it's like, how far can I push it?
And you've definitely exceeded probably any limit you thought initially that was possible. And what about with business? You've built a very successful supplement brand. You've built very successful businesses. I see a lot of people that will get to that point and they'll kind of coast. They'll be like, you know what? I've done what I've done. I've done well. I don't need to put out any more YouTube videos. Everyone knows me. My brand's doing okay. But you keep taking on more and more responsibilities. You keep getting more involved with business. What is it the same type of motivation, or what is keeping you doing that?
I mean, a lot of the motivation like behind business right now is I want to build a massive like teaming community.
Yeah.
So I want my business to be a $100 million company, not for the fact that I can go buy Lambos and massive like houses and stuff. I want to walk into my warehouse and there's hundreds of employees.
Sure.
Like that's what I want to build. I want to build the culture and the community.
Providing opportunities for others and things like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So like that's what drives business for me right now.
Okay.
And I'm never happy with where I'm at, and like people around me, my brother, my fiance always tell me like, we can have the best day of sales, we can have the best month of sales and the best year of sales.
Yeah.
But I always know like there's more to be done.
Right.
There's further to reach.
Yeah.
And it's how you get there, because someone has done it before you, and someone's gonna do it after you.
Right.
So I don't want to get caught up in where I'm at, but where I'm gonna be. Too many people like get caught up in what they've accomplished in their past, and they dwell on that forever.
Yeah.
Like, I can't tell you how many people I see posting the same transformational post
Every time.
every Tuesday of the transformation they made 5 years ago. No one cares about that anymore.
It's old news.
Yeah, it's old news. Like, what are you doing now and what are you doing in the future to better yourself and inspire and influence others?
And as if you didn't have enough on your plate already, so for those that don't know, training for an Ironman is very demanding in terms of time and effort. So
it's a lot of time.
You're training like what, 3-4 hours a day. You're running a business, multiple businesses. And in the midst of all that, somehow you found time to write a book. So 25 hours a day, coming out fairly soon. Sounds in the next 6 months, maybe?
It should be late fall, early winter.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what was your driving force for writing that? And what's if people reading it get one thing out of it, what do you hope that it is?
So I can pinpoint like the time in my life that influenced this book. At the time when it happened, I wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna write a book after this.
Yeah.
But I was driving it was probably 2014, and I'm driving to PT in the morning. So I live 30 minutes from Fort Hood, and I'm driving there in the morning, and I'm listening to music. I was like the infantry platoon leader that's just getting jacked up, like ready for PT. I just wanted to motivate my guys, because they would show up and be like, oh, I gotta do PT again. So I saw that as, well, this is my opportunity as a leader to jack these guys up, be like, yeah, we're doing this for a reason. Like, there's purpose behind this. So I'd get to PT and we'd do like a hard workout. And I typically would do harder workouts than the other platoons would do and push the guys harder. And that was just like the camaraderie we had with the platoon. And there was one day where after the workout, I was like looking at the guys we were stretching, and I could see like they didn't realize their potential. They saw themselves as like face value, like they're just a private in the infantry and the army, and that was their job and that's all they were. And like I would look at these guys and be like, man, like you don't realize like what you can do now in the army, like what you're capable of, what you're capable of doing afterwards. You can do anything you want. Mm-hmm. But a lot of these dudes, like they didn't have that growing up. Yeah. They went to basic training, they got told they were pieces of shit. They got to their unit, they were told they were pieces of shit. They didn't have opportunities to like expand and grow from that. And I just remember being so angry and being like, you guys don't realize like you're capable of so much more. So like that's what, like years later then, like that always stuck with me. Because I would see some of these guys get out and still they didn't realize what they were capable of. Right. They would get out and they would undervalue themselves or not push themselves to do more. Some guys would, and they would do great things.
They didn't have anyone telling them, hey, you can do this.
Yeah, so like when I was a platoon leader, I was always like pushing them to do more, to go to more schools, to have a plan for when they get out. Mm-hmm. So then years later, like it was probably a year and a half ago, I started thinking about this again in the space I'm in now with fitness and doing these events and building this brand and what I've accomplished and done. Yeah. And how can I kind of not let that happen again with guys like that, like with a massive bigger audience, not just my platoon, but like thousands of people. How can I make them understand that they are capable of doing so much more than they think they are? Because I was that guy in high school that thought, man, I'm nothing special. I'm playing sports, nothing, like I'm not standing out. I'm going to school, I'm not standing out. I'm not going to like really good colleges. I'm not getting accepted into these really good universities. And then I realized, well, I wasn't any of those, but look what I'm able to do and I've done. Mm-hmm. So any of you can do this as well. It's just applying certain skills and characteristics to your mindset in your life and taking action. So that's what this book is. It's like learning your capabilities and realizing you can do a lot more mentally and physically, and then going after it and actually doing it.
And I know I'm personally excited to hear all the stories that I'm sure you incorporated from Ranger School and all the things that you've kind of picked up over the last few years. And it's cool to hear that, because now you have hundreds of thousands of people following you, and your impact can be huge. So to have that all, in a condensed piece of material that you can share with the rest of the world, it's going to be pretty powerful. So I'll be looking forward to reading that one.
Yeah, I think like the people, they'll find you on social media and they'll think the process was like this. But like if you just listen to some of my stories, you'll realize that the process to get to where I was literally a roller coaster.
Peaks and valleys. Yeah.
I've lost like lots and lots of money. I made the worst mistakes. Yeah. But it's all part of the process in getting there. Sure. Right? So like without those failures and losses, you can't get to the wins.
Absolutely. And as most people know, with the business, as you kind of alluded to earlier, there was some down times and now obviously some very good times. And for most people that watch your content know your brother Preston is a very big part of your business, right? Which I'm sure has some challenges in itself. So is there one major event that you guys really disagreed on at one point in time, and who ultimately won that argument, and what was it the right decision?
So growing up, my brother and I have always got along. And we still do. Like, we're really close, and not many things get in the way of that. But because we're so both personally invested in the brand and the business, like we're both very passionate about it, we both want to succeed just as much as the other does. Yeah. So sometimes we both think we have better ideas, so that's why we'll fight. But as much as we're the same, we are very, very different people. So I'm the type that is more risky and aggressive. Impulsive, yes, very impulsive. So I'll be sitting I'm like the creative. Things will pop in my head and I want to act on them right away. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a new product or a new marketing campaign or a new series. And Preston's one that's like, slow your roll. Let's like think this one through. And that's when there's like some sort of argument. Oh, you don't trust me? Like, you think I don't know what I'm doing? Right. So we'll argue about that kind of stuff once in a while. But I'd say like the point in time where we probably argued the most was if anyone's followed the journey and the process is, when I first got back to Korea, we decided to open a gym to the public. Because at the time, BPN wasn't making enough money to sustain off of. So our intentions were, well, we're gonna rent this space, we're gonna build BPN out of the space, and we're going to put this gym in there to cover some of the overhead of our warehouse lease. And then what happened was BPN started growing so fast as soon as we got in there, we slowly started chipping away at the gym. So it was like those stressful times where we were spending so much time at the warehouse for the gym to be open, and then tearing down walls, building new walls for the supplements, that it was just like, we didn't know where we were going and how we were gonna get there. It was like every day was something new. It was like growing pains to the extreme. And that caused a lot of like tension and headaches between us.
Sure.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And so ultimately, you guys did decide to close the gym. And as I can imagine, it was probably a great decision because you guys are no longer even in that space because you outgrew it.
Right.
So you're now in your new warehouse. Would you say 11,000 square feet here?
It's about 10,000 square feet here.
10,000 square feet, and it looks like you're going to be outgrowing this eventually, probably very soon.
I hope so, yeah.
Yeah. So now you kind of have the best of both worlds. You have your personal gym, at least for now, until you have to move racking over here in stock inventory.
Yeah, closing the gym to the public was, I know most people don't want to hear this, it was like the best decision I've ever made in my life.
Yeah.
And I realized I never want to be a gym owner ever again. But it was that learning experience. It was that learning curve. Like everyone that ever goes in the gym and falls in love with weightlifting thinks, I want to be a gym owner.
Oh yeah, everyone.
And I'm here to tell you, that's not always the case.
I think owning a gym is one of those things that you could and should do after you're successful at something else. And the gym can either subsidize that because you're going to have to take some losses, especially initially, or this is the best that you can have. You can have a gym that's private for just yourself.
Yeah, a private like personal gym is the best.
Yeah.
Because like, you know, business model, cash flow, and understanding that like a gym's scalability is limited and capped, where e-commerce is not.
Yeah, the amount of gym memberships you need just to break even is a lot higher than most people think.
Right.
So it sounds like a good idea at first, but for most people you talk to, they will talk you out of it.
Yeah. I will be one of those people, 100%.
So you're at this point in your life, you know, you've done a lot. What if tomorrow you wake up, social media is gone, you have 0 followers, your supplement line is dismissed, there's nothing there, but you still have all the knowledge that you have today.
Right.
Would you get back into the same industry, or would you start over doing something else?
100% the same industry.
Yeah, you're that passionate about the supplement industry.
This is my life.
Yeah.
Sometimes I try to think of my life without this, and I'm like, what would I do? Like, this is what I love. Like, I wake up, I want to put my shoes on and go to work.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to be at the warehouse by 8 a.m., but I am because I love it here. I love the environment. And like the best part of being in this industry and like doing what you love, it's not like succeeding and making it and, you know, making the money you want to make and scaling and getting to that point. It's like those first couple of years of trying to figure out how to get there and building it from scratch. Like, I personally love building businesses.
Yeah.
I've learned that I shouldn't start more businesses because I already have enough on my plate.
Right.
But like the fun part is like building a community and establishing the vision of that brand.
Yep.
Because the vision of the brand is one of the most important things. And building a community around that brand, and just building it. Yeah. That's the most fun part. And me and Preston will both say that it's been the most fun part of our lives ever, was when I first transitioned out and moved into our warehouse, and we're like, all right, it's go time. Like, how do we make this work?
It's very evident you have a passion for the process.
I love the process.
Yeah.
I'll talk about the story and the process till the day that I die.
And it's so cool to see because you have, I mean, people can go back and watch all this. You have it all documented from when you were just shipping out orders at your dad's house, and Preston was helping you there to what you have today.
I wish I would have like looking back, I always tell people starting, like, document everything.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning, I was afraid of looking too small or startup.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to show all of that.
Right.
But like, looking back, I wish I would have just like taken pictures of stuff and saved it.
Yeah.
So I could say like, this is what it looked like.
Right.
You don't understand, like when we first started packing orders, we were getting like small shipments sent to the house of supplements carrying them up 2 stories just to pack them, carry them back down, like the most inefficient things that we did. But it just sets the stage, like the stage of where you go next.
Which supplement in your line are you most proud of?
I'd say Strong Greens.
Yeah, you said that's your top seller.
It's our best seller.
Which is incredible. As a fitness line, you know, most people seem to kind of put that on the back burner. But obviously for your audience, as health has been, you know, a top priority for them.
It's actually a massive shift we're making with supplements.
Yeah.
Because we pretty much have sports nutrition covered within our line that we want. Obviously, you can make a million sports nutrition products, but are all of them necessary? Right. No, we have protein, pre-workout, pump, amino, stuff like that. So every product that we develop here and after is all health-based. So like we're doing a Strong Reds next, which is like a beet juice fruit base with like pomegranate and stuff like that. We're working on a collagen powder next. Gotcha. So it's all like health-based moving forward. Yeah. As opposed to sports nutrition.
Gotcha. And you said you're also coming out with the protein bar as well.
Yep. Yeah. The field bar.
Gotcha. So a lot of stuff in the works, as if you didn't have enough here already.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing with like dietary supplements. We always have like 5 or 6 products. If I wanted to launch 5 or 6 more products right now, I could, because we have had those sampled and tested for a year, year backdating. Right. So we're always working on new things, but it's like the decision to pull the trigger. Does the market really need this? Will they benefit from this? And do they want it? Sure. So I learned early on, you can create supply, but supply does not equal demand. Right. I learned that the hard way.
101, yeah.
Yeah. I ordered my first round of supplements, and that first round of supplements sat for years.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, it's obviously all paid off, and really appreciate your time here today. Always awesome getting to get together with you, man, and we wish you nothing but the best.
I appreciate it, man.
Of course.
Yeah, thanks.
And that is a wrap, my friends. I really, really enjoyed that. That was probably my favorite video that I've ever done with someone else on YouTube. He just has such an incredible story and so many things that we can all learn from. So if you guys aren't already, be sure to go check out Nick. All of his contact information is gonna be linked down below. But I am absolutely starving. That probably just ruined the audio, but we're gonna keep going because I gotta get some food. We are at one of my favorite places of all time, Hot Dottie. It's incredible.
Tired of waiting.